Hello, Earth System Science. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you enjoyed your snow day. This is already starting off to be kind of a bizarre week. The unfortunate reality is that I've also contracted a cold from my toddlers, and so I'm unable to come in tomorrow, which is Tuesday. And so I'm hoping that this video finds you better off than me, but I'm going to explain quickly what the day looks like. This should go for both group A and B. Okay, so I'm turning this ESS week essentially into one day. But both things that we do are not very difficult. And so I'm going to run through quickly. I had already made an agenda video, but I'm changing it. I apologize for my voice. I do have a cold. So here's what we have. Here's what future posts will look like. I usually will make something that's in class, right? And something that will be online. However, these both are going to be done either at home or online, kind of how we used to do things. Okay, so essentially two things, but quick things. The first thing is differentiating between water quality and water quantity. Okay, because we are going to be getting into a bigger project next week, which will look at the difference between water quality and water quantity, and more importantly, looking at how to improve the watershed in which we live in, right? Fort Collins, the Cache la Poudre watershed. How can we improve either the quantity or quality of the water? And so, a couple things for you. First, the directions for this mini poster, as I will call it, water quality, water quantity mini poster. This is a companion to go along with this document, which you have a copy of. Okay, I was originally making this a hand copy. I'm going to make it a digital copy for you. And so this corresponds with the directions. Okay, the directions are given right here. First, we're going to trace the major rivers that Fort Collins is connected to. I'm going to do that in a second. Then you're going to write down the definitions of water quality and water quantity. What are the differences, right? And then finally, we're going to use some resources to write and draw, which you're going to actually be probably inserting pictures instead of drawing, any ways that impact the quantity or quality in the watershed. And it could be good or bad ways. Again, we'll look at some examples briefly. But first, let's trace some rivers. Okay, so on your document, you're going to want to double click into the drawing and kind of follow along with me. You might want to make it a little bit bigger on your copy so you can see it. We are located here. Okay, if you end up doing a scribble line, you can actually trace where the rivers are coming, and so, or the rivers are going. And so with me, if you would choose some color, maybe a color that pops, because we're in northern Colorado, the Cache la Poudre feeds into the South Platte River, which then feeds into the Platte River, which then feeds into the Missouri River, and then eventually flows all the way down to the Mississippi and out into the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, so make that a little thicker and make it red. Okay, so again, South Platte, Platte, Missouri, Mississippi. Water that we use ends up in the Mississippi and eventually down outside of New Orleans in the Gulf of Mexico. On the other side, water we pull from the other side of the mountains should go all the way down the Colorado River and out into the Gulf of California. Okay, so we actually, uniquely, because we're on the continental divide, interact with water on both sides, right? So we pull water from this side, but water we use ends up flowing this way. Okay, so that's step one. As long as you trace that with me, you are good. Okay, the next direction, write down these definitions. Okay, water quality, the condition of water. Think about how water can get contaminated. And then quantity is the amount of available water for use in our watershed. Things like drinking water, use for agriculture, recreation, right? And think about what it's like where we live, northern Colorado, right? So water is scarce, water is precious, water sustains life. Okay, and then the third direction is to actually think about ways that you can impact water quality or water quantity. Okay, and so using some resources. Okay, I'm going to give you one, and I'm going to move forward. Things that you can do to protect drinking water. Okay, so use and dispose of harmful materials properly. Okay, so that would be something good if you're actually disposing of something. So you would go onto your thing, you'd have your definition of water quality here, and then you'd have to find an image of someone maybe dumping oil in a storm drain, for instance. That's not good, right? That's really bad. Maybe you could take that image, post it there, and you write a description, right? Bad, I'd say. Improper disposal of oil, right? Water quantity is going to be dealing with water conservation. Okay, so how can you save water? And I'm sure that there's some resources here. They've given you some conservation resources, right? How do you save or preserve water? Uh, you know, don't run a dishwasher that's not full. Okay, so you could again find an image that would correspond with maybe a dishwasher, explain it, label it either bad or good. You need 5 for each. That's it, right? We're just trying to wrap our heads around how we can interact and impact the water quality and water quantity of our watershed. Okay. Item number 2 is a very brief article, okay, on Insert Learning about the Colorado River, right? Remember we drew that quick map tracing the line where the Colorado River ends up. Colorado River has yet, or rather used to reach the Gulf of California regularly. I just pointed at the screen. I realized you couldn't see that, but used to reach the Gulf of California regularly, no longer does. And this article talks about it, okay? And that link is right here. All you have to do is click on it and you will answer questions. It's an Insert Learning article. That's it. Should be able to be done in an hour and a half. Again, guys, sorry that I'm not there in person. I'll definitely be there next week, healthy and happy. As always, reach out with questions via email. But other than that, I'll see you guys.